Ever heard about someone snagging a U.S. green card, like totally
Yeah.
solo,
Yeah.
no lawyers, no giant stacks of paperwork, just, pure determination, maybe a bit of know-how?
It's a path. Yeah, definitely needs some extra elbow grease, but the
That's for
payoff
sure.
can be huge,
That's
both in
evident.
like having control over your application and maybe even saving a good chunk of change.
Right. Exactly. And I'm sure, you're out there probably juggling what research, maybe teaching, and now you're adding this whole green card journey on top of it. We get it. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But you've done some digging. Send us these two really interesting sources about, DIYing this process.
Yep.
And we're here to help you figure it out. So is going solo actually doable? What are the, hidden traps? We'll get to all of that, and we'll give you a clearer picture of whether this is even the right path for you, your goals, and what you're comfortable with.
It's interesting how many people think navigating the whole U.S. immigration system is like, I don't know, trying to understand ancient hieroglyphics without like a translator?
Yeah, totally.
And while legal help can be, super valuable, what these sources really point out is this. A huge chunk of the work, it's all on you.
Okay.
You're building this rock solid case for yourself, and that all comes down to the documentation. And that's something you do whether you've got a legal team or you are the team.
So let's break down this whole I-140 petition process, right?
Yeah.
Which, let's be real, can feel pretty overwhelming. Luckily, our sources do a great job at making it, digestible. So first up, your resume. But this isn't just a list of where you worked or studied. It's about highlighting the big wins from your academic journey, the stuff that makes you, you.
Absolutely. Think of it like your own personal highlight reel.
I love that.
But instead of those amazing sports plays, it's like, your
Yeah.
academic wins,
Yeah.
right? The source really emphasizes being clear, organized, and showing the impact of all your work. Because, you're essentially making a case for why you deserve a shot at living and working in the U.S.
For good.
And what's a highlight reel without some, awesome testimonials, right?
Right.
That's where those recommendation letters come in. Now, we hear you asking for these can feel like, a lot.
But the source actually mentioned something interesting here.
Yeah.
Those who've successfully done this, they often gave their recommenders like a little nudge in the right direction.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. We're not saying write the letters for them, but maybe give them some bullet points about your work together or highlight projects where you really,
Yeah.
shined.
Yeah.
It helps those letters stand out and really show your potential impact.
It's all about putting your best foot forward.
Exactly.
And speaking of which, our second source jumps into the big debate, DIY or lawyer up for this whole thing. And it emphasizes that, pulling off a DIY green card is possible.
Possible.
But it needs a lot of, you got to really want it.
Effort.
And a good eye for detail.
And this is where that 95% figure really got me.
95%. It's a big number, right? And what's really interesting is both sources seem to agree on this. Lawyer or no lawyer, you are doing a lot of the legwork.
Yeah.
You're gathering the evidence, organizing it, basically like constructing your argument from scratch. That's on you.
It's true. It's like you become your own project manager, almost. A lawyer, they're there for like the supervision, making sure you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's, but you're doing the building.
It's almost like having a specialized editor for really, really important paper, right?
Yeah.
They're there to help you polish and make it shine. And speaking of shining, one source mentions these example petitions, these DIY packets that can really guide you. Have you seen these in action?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially for those going the DIY route. They can be so helpful. It's like having a framework, like a template to kind of see what a successful petition should look and sound like.
So it's like having blueprints when you're building a house, right? You might not be the architect, but you've got a structure to work with.
Perfect analogy. But, just like you wouldn't want to live in a cookie cutter house, you want your petition to be uniquely you.
Okay.
Your story, your qualifications, that's what needs to stand out.
It's about taking those blueprints and making it your own.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk cost. But that's the elephant in the room, right? Our sources suggest DIY can save you a lot, potentially thousands.
Well, yeah.
But there are always trade-offs.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. And this is where it gets personal, DIY might save you money, but is that peace of mind, having an expert look everything over, worth it? It's a balancing act.
It really is. It's like, what's the value of your time? How comfortable are you with this kind of process? What's your budget like? Some people love to dig in and figure it all out themselves, but others, they find it way too stressful. They'd rather have a guide.
Exactly. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about finding the best way for you, for your personality, your resources, all of it.
We've covered a lot. We looked at this I-140 petition, weighed the pros and cons of going solo versus having some help. But our sources kind of hinted something here. This is just the beginning, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There are still some big unanswered questions.
And those questions, they're crucial for anyone who's serious about making this green card dream a reality.
We're talking about those questions like, am I even eligible for this?
Yeah.
And it's a valid question, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Our sources mention specific green card categories, like EB1A and NIW.
Right.
Now, if those just sound like alphabet soup to you, don't worry, you're not alone.
It's a lot of acronyms.
So many. EB1A, that's for people with, like, extraordinary abilities. We're talking Nobel Prize winners, Olympic athletes,
Yep, top of their field.
Exactly. NIW, that's the National Interest Waiver, and it's for those whose work has a big impact, even if they aren't, Nobel Prize level yet.
Right, right.
But then there's the big question, what do you actually do? Once you've figured out which category you fit into, what's next?
It's like a maze, for sure. And this is where I think both sources make a really important point. Even if you're going solo on this whole green card thing, you have to become your own expert.
Okay, I like that.
It's not enough to just, fill out the forms right. You need to get the why behind it all. What evidence matters in your field? How do you make your case so good they can't say no?
So it's like the difference between following a recipe and like actually understanding the science of baking.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. You can probably bake a decent cookie by just following the directions. But knowing why each ingredient matters, why you chill the dough, that's what makes you a real baker.
Just that deeper understanding.
Exactly. And in this case, that deeper understanding, that could be your green card right there.
I love that analogy. And honestly, that's what's so great about, deep dives like this. It's about giving you the knowledge so you can navigate this whole journey, whether you go it alone or you get some help along the way.
Totally. And speaking of empowering, as we wrap up today, we want to leave you with something to think about. Both of our sources said that successful DIY petitions, they all had one thing in common: the right kind of evidence. So here's the big question for you. What does strong evidence even mean in your field? How can you start gathering that right now? Maybe start a folder, write down some ideas, talk to your mentors, get their advice. Those small steps, they can make a world of difference.
Knowledge is power. The more you know about all of this, the more confident you'll feel when you take those next steps.
And hey, maybe a few years down the line, you'll be sharing your green card success story and inspiring others to take that leap. Until then, happy researching and best of luck on your journey.
Thank you for listening to a podcast by greencardselfpetition.com. Visit greencardselfpetition.com for do-it-yourself packets. We aim to provide the collective experience of numerous applicants who have successfully self-petitioned for their green cards without employer sponsorship, in either the EB1A, Extraordinary Ability, or EB2, NIW National Interest Waiver categories. Our DIY packets are designed to assist you in your self-petition journey.